Yo, what's up? Welcome back to the podcast, the Trevor Sean Audiocast, episode 19. Welcome back. I'm getting back at it, guys. Getting some consistency. I freaking say that, I think, at the beginning of every podcast, but it's worth noting in my book. So that's one thing I love about this thing. It's like no matter how long the time goes by, how many days go by, the most important thing to me about it is like I keep coming back, and there's definitely something genuine that I love about this art form, and it's cool to be able to document your thoughts and like kind of get some stuff out of your head. So I appreciate that side of it, and yeah, I'm excited to share some thoughts on what I've been thinking about. So it's just cool. If this is your first time, this is just an audiocast and a space to document my journey for building a successful, valuable life, and obviously kind of going through different experiences that I have and trying different things on the way. So that's really what it's about. Trying new things, learning, growing from those experiences, and yeah, just trying to go through it. So I think that's the thing. I think about this a lot where it's like, I'm not trying to listen. There's plenty of other crazy successful people that have done millions of hours more research and work than I have on any type of proven way for living your life, and that matters. And I talk about those people a ton because they are where I learn a lot of this stuff from. I've looked at my role as simply a use case for their advice and what they talk about and the things that they recommend, as well as a resource to be able to share that information just because I am crazy interested in it. And I think there is a purpose to be able to share that with others, because although some of those people may articulate ideas very well and do really great on their research, maybe they're not as great at making it a more personal or relatable type thing. So I fill that void. That's what I feel like I'm here for. And also I don't know, it's kind of interesting because I've been thinking about this. I'm like, what is this? What's the purpose of this? And I think there's a couple. One of them, I just really like to share different things that are helping me get closer to becoming the person that I want to be. So that's important. I think that matters. And obviously I've talked about this before. I do this a lot for like my kids to kind of give them some type of a roadmap for how to figure things out and how to keep going and different things to try and think about and whatever. And there's so many pieces to creating a good life for yourself. Money is just one small piece that really is on the very outside of, for people looking at you and deeming you successful or not. And then there's plenty of other things that are important when really looking at your life and seeing if you have any value, and if you're giving any value, and if you really have a purpose. I think that matters, So, having said all those things, that's why I'm here, man. So that's why I keep coming back, and I also, the second reason is I do plan on being successful. I do plan on putting together a really well-rounded, balanced life for me, in my opinion, and I think these subjects and topics that I talk about get me closer to that, and it helps reinforce different things that I want to try, that I want to work on, and I think it's going to be kind of a cool story to look back at all these things and kind of see the progression and the growth and the learning and all that kind of stuff. So those are my reasons. That's it. All right. Well, Hope you guys enjoyed last episode. I thought that was kind of a cool episode, actually, to kind of shake it up a little bit and just talk about some of the things that I like and that I've used to help me. And that was the self-development or self-growth type books that are some of my favorites. We'll definitely do another session of that. I'll keep you tuned on the next genre that I'll be going for and some of my favorite books from those. So that's that, dude. By the way, a little update. So definitely love Audible, and I talked about Audible is a great resource to really crank through some stuff in a more passive way. But I do want to say that I do think it's very important to buy some books. So my Audible library is filled up enough of books that I haven't read yet that I cancel that for now, and I'm going to start buying in hardcover some of the books that I think are worth purchasing twice and to be able to study and kind of go through. So I'll be sharing those with you as well. I'll have to maybe create some type of a website and keep a list. Everyone does that. I think it's cool to have resources. I definitely check out people with book recommendations and things like that. So check that out later. Coming soon. I'll be talking about it at some point. All right. So, topics for today, I got 2 of them, and just going to try to keep this short and sweet. Nothing past 20. I think 20 minutes is a sweet spot for me. I like it. So, the first topic is care for yourself. And the second topic we're going to run through is put yourself out there. So, just going right into it. Care for yourself. So, I've just thought a lot about this. This is just kind of like a crazy... Sorry, I'm just trying to get comfortable. This is a crazy type of question that I've had so many opinions about it, especially when I was younger, man. I remember you're always taught to be like selfless and share and all that kind of stuff, and that's good. That's great stuff. But I never really put together how to do that while making sure that I was the most capable that I could be. And I think I lost a lot of that, especially growing up as a kid, and I kind of transferred into my adult life. And up until I've thought about this for a long time, and it's been slowly getting better. I think my wife's definitely helped me realize some of these things for sure, and especially all of the things that I research and read and learn through. It's very apparent in all those things, either subtly or very in your face. But unless you are able to take care of yourself and like really like you're very a capable independent person, you can stand on your own 2 feet and like make decisions on your own and do like live life on your own and be somewhat successful doing that, I feel like 100% you're gonna have a tough time doing a lot of things in your life, especially when you compound it with getting older, having children, having bigger responsibilities at jobs, careers, and potentially other types of projects. I mean, if you can't take care of yourself and like be the best person that you can, I think those show up. I think that insecurity and those holes in your life definitely will show up at some point. And so it's worth thinking about. And I think one of the reasons I want to talk about this is because I feel like I struggled with that for a long time. So, anyways, I kind of wrote down something that I was thinking about this, and so I'll just try to articulate that the best I can. So bear with me, but I kind of alluded to this just barely. But life has such an interesting timeline and flow to it because we're kids and very careless and carefree, and then you kind of start to be a teenager and you are learning new things and becoming more responsible and figuring out how to learn. You're figuring out how to grow, how to compete, how to fight and survive and all those things, and that's like, man, it's tough to think about caring for yourself while you're busy surviving and like going through all that stuff. And then you head into like young adult life and you're still trying to grind and get through things, and then you have to throw into life all these other stuff, all this other stuff to deal with, the ups and downs, the, being depressed, complete joy, tragedy, coasting, survival, different types of struggles that are good for you, some that are bad or tough. I guess all struggle, I think, is good for you, but it doesn't mean that it's easy. There's some easier than others. Contentment, endless progression. So, yeah, so many things happening. So how can we even think about putting ourselves together during all this? So that's something I wrote, and that's a question I've been like thinking about. And the one thing that I came up with, and Dr. Jordan Peterson talks a lot about this too, if you listen to his stuff, but I feel like we have this innate instinct inside of us that really helps point us in a direction. And it's definitely not always very detailed as far as like a direction goes. But we always have like this instinct to go do something and go somewhere and kind of push towards some direction. And with that, I feel like you got to listen to that. And I've tried to start doing that more often. I've started to listen to myself and like really understand like what's pulling me, like what do I want to do? What are things I want to do? This podcast is one thing I want to do, and there's a lot of things that get in the way of doing this. It's once a week, but like on the days that I try to do it, it's like sometimes it feels like the complete universe is against me, and I just cannot get down here for whatever reason. And then other times I'm fighting just against myself, or I'm tired, blah blah blah, whatever. But there's just some times where like, you guys know the feeling, man. It's like you get a little restless and you're just sitting there and you're like, oh, I want to do something. And then if you really sit there and think about like, what do you want to do? Your mind and your soul will really open up to you and start telling you like, what do you want? What do you want to do? What do you want to do? You want to go hike? You want to be better at your job? How do you want to be better at your job? How do you want to get better? What kind of job do you want? What kind of work do you want to do? How can you, and then all of a sudden, like if you give in to those thoughts and you really start thinking about it, then you start like putting together like this plan that starts to form itself into some goals and some things that you can work on. And I mean, it's kind of crazy. I know it sounds a little nuts. And I also know that you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. So that's why I want to talk about it. Because even last night I was thinking about it. It's like, and Jordan Peterson talks about this a lot too. It's like, if you look at your life and you're not happy with your life, or, not pleased with it, it's like, then what are you doing? Like, why don't you create the life that you want to do? And this is the thing that's really interesting about that. It's like, there's things that make you miserable that you just absolutely do not want to do. And he talks about that too, where he just says, don't do what you don't want to, what you hate. You'll be miserable. You'll like want to die. But there anything that you want to do that it's really good for you, it's not easy, it's hard, but it's worth the hard. Like you want to do the hard because you want challenges in your life and you want to complete those challenges, and that makes you feel good. It gives you a purpose. It makes you feel valuable and happy and all that stuff. And then there's the miserable things that you could do that you absolutely hate doing and that are hard too. And man, try doing that for 10, 20 years and yeah, you just want to die. That's not the purpose of life. And if you think about how many different types of people there are and all their interests and everything, it's like so many things that we can do. And so, especially in this new world of technology advancement and like all the opportunities that we have and all the different types of things that we need as humans nowadays, instead of just like surviving, there's a lot of other things that we need to continue to work on and other problems to solve. I think that's a good way to look at it. It's like, what problems are you capable of solving that you're interested enough to really dive into and like get after it, And man, if you just sit there and think to yourself a little bit about it, it's like, yeah, there's some things that sound fun, like video games or whatever, and like, I think even video games nowadays serve a huge purpose as far as entertainment and like letting people have some stress relief, and also some really fun time to spend with friends and family and connect with different people in that way. So there's like a lot of, it's crazy. There's just like so many different ways that you can connect with so many different things that you could do, right? So yeah, I guess my final thought for that is really sit down and listen to yourself and maybe write it down. I mean, I think writing is a beautiful art form where it helps clarify all your thinking ideas so well and gives you some type of a direction to start pushing towards. And like I've talked about before, I really do feel like having goals and some type of an aim to work towards is essential for anybody's life. And if you don't have any type of a goal and no clue about what you want to do, and like I'm talking like even a year from now or 5 years from now, 10 years from now, like that time can get away from you quickly. It's pretty crazy. And so you should start planning some stuff out and like really think about what you want to do. And don't worry about how long that stuff will take. You'll figure it out and you'll start going, and like, 10 years will pass and you'll either have started doing those things or you won't. And one of them is going to cause crazy resentment and a ton of regret, and that's going to suck. And then the other side is going to be like, you know what? Maybe I'm not as far along as I could have been, but at least I make a decision to go do something, and I learned something, and I grew. And maybe you don't even finish that, but maybe it led you down a path or opened an opportunity along that path that allowed you to pivot and go that way. So I think it's important to really listen to yourself and care for yourself, man. You got to take care of you first. And because if you don't, I just don't feel like you're capable of really focusing and handling other scenarios. You can, but I just don't think that plays out over a long time. I think you become resentful. I think you become miserable, and you just you're never really able to reach the potential that you have. And we all have this potential to be able to reach out to the world and share your talents and your skills and your work. That's important. It really is. And so, I mean, to go along with that, I just feel like don't be afraid to do the things that you need to do for your life. And I'm not trying to say that in any type of a toxic, crazy way. It's like you gotta negotiate, right? But understand what kind of things are non-negotiable for you. It can't be everything, but think about the core stuff that you need to do. For example, for me, I need sports in my life. That's like something that's just like, I need it. I need to be able to play it. It's a way that I connect with people very well. It's in our family. I do it with my kids. It's like I need sports in my life. I also really love technology, and I love this kind of stuff and my little side hustles. It's like I need that too, and I need my work. I need to be able to do my work so I can feel valuable and like I'm doing something, and obviously for a living. And so there's just some things that you got to like really set a hard line on what you're willing to compromise for and what you're not. And then the other things, got to let those fall by the wayside, especially as you get older. It's like you don't have enough time for everything. And you're always going to have to shuffle those priorities and see what's most important to be able to work on those. Oh, and the last topic heading into that, is putting yourself out there. I won't drag this on and spend too much time on this, but I think about this one so much because, man, I remember being pretty ambitious when I was like younger, especially in high school and stuff like that. It's like everything was so new and you're excited to get out into the world and do things. And dreams are fun, man, because they take you to places where you like have that potential and you're like, dude, I could do this, and this is what that might feel like when this is what that might look like or whatever, right? And then you have to go start the grind to do it, and it's difficult, it's hard, and it takes a lot of time, a lot of work, and sometimes things get in the way of that. It's like, you have family and you have other things that kind of pull back on certain things, and those aren't bad. But the one thing I want to talk about this is you got to put yourself out there. Everybody has something to give to their family, to their community, and to people around them and everything, to their workplace, all that kind of stuff. And there's a piece of this where it's like you got to show up to do your stuff. That's kind of like a bare minimum thing. Like show up to your 9 to 5. That's fine. But this just kind of goes a little bit further than that. It's like put yourself out there in meaningful, strengthening ways for you. Always be thinking about your progression. And you don't have to be like a workaholic and crazy person, but you have to continue to grow. Because I really believe that if you're not growing, I feel like any type of contentment hurts you. We are growth-oriented beings, and we have to continue to strive to the other things. I don't care what rate you do it. There's some people that want to go crazy fast, and that's awesome. And there's other people that need to go slow, and that's great. That's fine. It doesn't matter. And I think you're going to find in your life there's going to be times where you're like going crazy, and there's other times that you're going to need to like chill out a little bit and take a step back and really enjoy your time with whatever you're doing. So all those things matter, but one thing I think is very important is you have to put yourself out there, and it has to be consistent and constant. I've been paying a lot more attention to life and just kind of noticing successful people that get things done around me in my life and my network. And one thing I really notice is they have resources because they've been thinking about that and they've been planning for it, saving up their money, whatever. They have moves that they're able to make and resources to be able to jump on opportunities. And the other thing that I really notice is every single one of them have a very strong and wide network. And if you don't put yourself out there, you can't meet new people. If you can't meet new people, then you're stuck. You're stuck. You can't do anything. If you look at all these people that are successful, it's like all of a sudden this guy knows a guy, and then you know them, and then you get together and you go to dinner and go to an event, go to a game, and you start to meet different types of people from different walks of life that teach you things that you never knew, and then you teach them things. And like, we're all part of these like different types of circles, and you got to be able to stretch your net and continue to grow that, because the older you get and the more capable you are based off the constant practice of your skill sets and the work that you're doing, you're going to need other capable people to help you achieve these bigger projects that you want to get done and that you need to get done, and to fulfill really what your potential is. And I think networks is such a huge thing. And so that's one thing I just really want to talk about. I've been noticing is putting yourself out there, building your network. And that's another thing. It's like, I look around, and if you really like look at the type of people that you want to associate with, if you really dive into it, the type of people you want to hang out with, they're people that like, they're good at what they do. They show up. They're capable. Maybe they're not completely perfect all the time, but they work hard. And you know they do. They spend the time doing the stuff they need to do. And those types of people, which are good people to be around, they want the same thing, man. And unless you're able to give that back, then you're going to get lost in the shuffle. And then you go down to the next tier. And that tier isn't as dedicated, and they don't want to work as hard. Their goals aren't as bright as they should be. And then you start to put a limit on whatever you're capable of doing. So those are a couple things I just want to share on this podcast. So yeah, I thought those topics were interesting. I don't think I've really talked about those, and they had a lot of common subjects that we've hit on before. But anyway, for what it's worth, that's it, man. Hope you guys have a great week. Welcome to May. Next podcast, I'm probably going to be talking about getting my freaking May goals. I'll be honest, I haven't written down my goals since November. I know, that's embarrassing. I've started writing a couple like for April and one for March, but I'm really sitting down and like grinding through it. And it's weird, but I'd spend like 10 minutes a day just so I don't go crazy, because I have a lot that I want to get down, which is good, but it also can be time consuming to think through all that stuff. But I really, week challenge, get your May goals done. If you haven't done them already, write those goals down for the month, dude. Have some type of a monthly record of some things that you really want to achieve, like that are short term. And then also think about what you want to do for the rest of the year. How does your monthly goals add up to meet those? And if you have like some longer terms or don't have some longer term goals, like 1, 5, 10, those types of things, write it down. Write down some aim that you want to go and start to fill it out. Have it up top and then start to detail it out and like what it's going to take to get there. I think that'll help. I think it helps put some perspective, helps create some motivation and some drive and something to run towards. So I think it'll be good. Oh yeah, and I got another cool topic next week. So I'm going to try to get this. That's one of my goals. I'm going to try to hit this every week for the rest of the year. See how it goes. Even if it's for 5 minutes, dude. Doesn't matter. Anyways, hope you guys have a great night. Have a great week. And till next time, peace out.